Well, hello everybody. I'm George Mossey. Welcome to the George Mossey Show. Gina is here with me. Hello, Gina. How are you?
Oh, oh, hello, bestie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So we're talking some pop culture content, some stuff that's happened over the last 10 days or so in popular culture, in the news, things that you can't stop hearing about. Um, I don't know where to start though. So, okay, let's start with somebody who got arrested. Okay, that's always fun. Little Nas X. You remember Little Nas X, right? Like he had I call him Little. I guess it's Lil Nas X. So he got arrested recently in Los Angeles. I believe it was Los Angeles. Yeah, LA for roaming the streets in his underwear, completely out of it. And I'm hearing that it had to do with like either an emotional breakdown or an overdose or a combination of the two. And I these type of stories, they become entertainment news, but people's mental health, I think it's not entertainment. I think mental health is very serious. But like, how do you feel about that? Like, first off, I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Were you a fan of Lil Nas X? Because he had that song Old Town Road that kind of took over the entire planet. Were you on board with that? And then he had a slew of singles after that. So how did you feel about him?
Well, prior to jumping on, we had touch base on it like briefly, and I'm like, I don't remember what he sings. And then you had to kind of ring my music knowledge, and I'm like, oh yeah. So it's been a while since I've heard his name in lights or whatnot. But so I wasn't really a fan because what year did he come out
Hmm.
with his music?
Oh, I feel like it was COVID time, right? COVID time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You weren't really going out. You were just mostly at home, right? So other than doing quick runs to the grocery store or whatnot, so you weren't hearing the music. So like after like things started opening up more, he that was his time to probably release new music, new singles, and he just did it. And it was just a wonder, like.
Oh, so actually, it says it came out in 2018, so this was not COVID. This was not.
mm,
But it actually, and then the remix came out in 2019, so this was pre-COVID actually. So I'm just,
Yeah, I just was.
I was never on the bandwagon of Lil Nas X. Like, I never understood the appeal of why people thought he was so amazing and so talented. And don't get me wrong, that song that he put out was very catchy, but anyone could have sang that song. Gina, you could have sang that song. It would have been a hit. It was a hit song. It doesn't make him amazing. He's not the next Michael Jackson. And one thing that I really had an issue with was in a lot of his music videos, he was very sacrilegious. And I know you probably didn't even notice because you didn't even realize he had music videos, but he always would do like disrespectful things about God. And he would dress up as the devil and do like whatever he could to be sacrilegious. In every video, he was very sacrilegious. And you know what they say? When you become a big star, you have to sell your soul to the devil, right? Isn't that what they say? And a lot of times that he put out those music videos, there was always some sort of level of disrespect towards religion or God or something along those lines. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have the right to express himself creatively. But, there's one person or one being that I avoid disrespecting, and it's God, because God is the most powerful being in this universe. So that's one person that I don't want to be disrespectful to, right?
Exactly, and that's probably where, like, after, like, because, like you said, I probably didn't pay attention to any of his music videos or anything like that. But that's basically probably if he's being disrespectful towards different, like, towards God, towards different religions. That's probably why his music didn't like and portraying himself as the devil and whatnot. That's probably why his music didn't take off as much as he would want it to because of the fact like we might we might be atheists, we might be Christians, Catholics, whatever, but we all believe in like other than atheists, we all believe in a greater power. Like whether
Well,
you be Muslim or Christian or whatnot, we all believe there's a beginning and there's an end and there's a good and there's a bad.
his music did do okay. Like he was on the radio quite a bit. You know, it did okay, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are saying, you know, him being sacrilegious and disrespectful to religion. They were like him getting arrested and going through this mental breakdown. People were like, oh, well, that has to be linked, you know, because, you know, it doesn't look good, you know, when you do and say these things. But at the end of the day, I hope that he's gonna be okay. But there's some chatter online saying that because you like you said earlier just now, you're like, I haven't heard his name in a long time. So people are saying, oh, well, this is just him trying to become relevant again. You know, walking around in your underwear in the middle of LA so people can video you, so you can get on the news. You know, this is just something that he would do to become relevant again. And I don't disagree with that. You know, I've noticed that he's very attention based. He's got a pick me attitude. And I definitely feel like since he's been out of the public eye for a long time, it's kind of possible that he did this in order for people to speak of him again. You know, because there's no such thing as bad press, right? Like as long
Hmm.
as people are talking about you, that is priceless press. And it's true, Gina. Like whether people are talking about you getting arrested or winning a Grammy, it's still front page news, right? It's front page news. And I think that it's very possible since his name and his music has been out of rotation for quite some time. He wanted to reclaim, you know, the name and position that he once had because, you know, in 2020 and 2021, his name held a lot more power than it does now. So maybe he wanted to do that. And, you know, at the end of the day, unfortunately, we'll never know what's really going on. But we do know he was arrested and was treated for an overdose or something along those lines. So I don't know where to go from there.
Exactly, but obviously, like we, as in, like the media portrays itself, right? It's he is suffering from a mental health issue or whatnot. He needs to seek that help, right? And it shouldn't, like, and we're going to, like, unfortunately, with a lot of media outlets, it's going to take advantage of a person's well-being and crash out. So it is unfortunate the way media portrays itself rather than promoting mental health and like unstable people and whatnot. They're making a mockery of it and making fun of it, which is not fair because we all have crash outs, right? We're all normal human beings and we all have crash outs, right? But it's the way the media depicts itself and pick points like the little things that can like, and there's no support in being like it's okay to have these crash outs and these burnouts and like everyone has them, right? It's just because you're in the public eye. But like you said, it could be like a PR media stunt and whatnot. We don't know the background of it. So I just hope that he find if it is serious, that he just finds proper help, that he needs to overcome like these demons and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really dislike the idea that public humiliation when it comes to mental health is something that the media thinks is okay. They're like, oh, look, they're crashing out. Get it on video, record them crashing out. Let's show them at their lowest. You know, and I don't, I find that unentertaining, right? Like if someone who had a mental defect, something wrong with them, and they were born that way, we would never walk up to them while they were out in public and start videoing them and taking video of them trying to do normal everyday things. We would never do that. But for some reason,
Hmm.
when someone is having a mental health crisis, that's funny, that's entertaining, that's interesting. Let's record that, let's post it online. Why is that okay? We would never post video of someone who happened to be maybe a paraplegic falling down, right? Like we wouldn't do that. It's not funny. It's something that they struggle with, but for some reason mental health and mental health crises, that's interesting, that's entertaining, and I don't know why there isn't a line being drawn there. You know, like we have to have some human decency because at the end of the day, just that person might be crashing out now, it might be you tomorrow, right? No one is exempt from mental health issues. Like no one, you can be rich, you can be poor, and anywhere in between. Mental health affects everyone, and we have to stop pretending like it only affects certain people because it affects everyone.
Exactly. And that's probably why I didn't go into the TMZ article because like I am like a generally happy person, so I like seeing happy things and like sometimes like to see people crash out and burn out, right? But like I don't like if it's a mental health and whatnot, I just bypass it and skip it because you know like I have to have it like I'm a decent human being, right? And I don't want to see anyone go through that.
So speaking of public public dating, what is this deal going on with Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson? Because I've heard different things. I heard that they weren't really dating. I heard that they were really dating. I heard that it's for a movie premiere. Do you have any information to give me on this? Because I'm really confused. Because Pamela Anderson has been in the news a lot lately because she has chosen to do a very natural look. Like she doesn't wear a lot of makeup and she's
Hmm.
natural, you know, and that's not what we remember her for. She was very she wore a lot of makeup and she had like the big boob implants and you know, she was very I don't want to say not natural, but she was very snatched in the past. So she's been in the news for that a lot lately, but now there's like her and Liam Neeson hanging out together and I've been seeing a lot of people talking about it and now I'm hearing that this may have been a PR stunt. Is that what you're hearing too?
Hearing that too, according to our lovely news source TMZ, that it was Pamela Anderson and Liam Nielsen, faux menace from the start, just a quote unquote naked PR stunt.
So were they in a movie together? I'm sorry, I'm ignorant to this. Were they doing a PR tour for a movie together that they were in?
So it says, like, according to the TMZ article, it says sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ the whole Pam and Liam Love Fest was cooked up by their PR team and Paramount while The Naked Gun was still filming in spring of 2024. In fact, we're told Pam didn't even see each other from the time camera stopped rolling until the press tour launched more than a year later in July 2025.
Oh, it's the new Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did see previews for that. I did see that was coming out. I didn't realize that Pamela was in it, but I guess you know this was something that the producers or whoever cooked up when they were filming the movie. And it's funny because the Naked Gun movies, the series of those movies were really good. You don't really need a gimmick to get people to watch it. I remember watching them. They're just hilarious. They were the funniest movies. And it definitely I remember that was like where they made fun of the police, right? The police, that's where they're like, oh, police are silly or they don't do a good job investigating things. I remember that was like the first time that became a big deal. The idea that they think that a Liam Neeson movie needs a PR stunt, it's a little crazy because Liam Neeson is known for his movies. People are very, very aware of his level of talent and his caliber of executing a role. So the idea that they thought that they even needed a PR stunt is kind of ridiculous because I know he's getting older, but you know, his work speaks for himself. I can't remember seeing a bad Liam Neeson movie. Have you?
No, but the thing is, I think it was just generated because the Naked Gun series, like it was first originated in like 1988 and then 1991 and then 1994. So there's been a very large time gap between them, like a huge time gap because Lord, since the last movie. There's been a huge time gap, right? So I didn't even know there was another Naked Gun movie coming out, right? And like I'm like, oh, they're together. Okay, cool. Right? Then this TMZ article comes in and was like, no, this is all a hoax, basically.
Dang, I didn't realize that it had been so long since the last.
Right?
I mean, so maybe they were worried, you know, because they're like, well, the clientele that we had, the guaranteed people in seats that we had the last time this movie was out, you know, those people could be older, dead. You know, like there's a lot that went on in that huge time gap, so I didn't realize that. So it could be a, let's guarantee some seats, some asses in seats situation. You know,
Exactly, because the last one that came out was in 94, and that was 31 years ago.
yeah, that's a long time. You're right.
Hmm.
There could be people that liked the movie back then who don't care for it now, or who were alive then that are not alive now. There's lots of different factors, that would lead to less tickets being sold. But see, Gina, here's another thing that I've been trying to understand for a really long time, and I want to see if you feel the same way. Why are we remaking movies? Why can't we just make new movies? Like my biggest issue now is that instead of making new movies or doing new creative ideas on concepts, we just keep remaking the same movies over and over. Like how many times can they remake Spider-Man? And I mean,
But you know what? With this one, it's different. You know why? Because look at how many years it's coming back. 31 years. That's a huge comeback.
yeah, I get it, but not.
When it's like back to back to back, it's just like, okay, what now?
I
Right?
just feel like we need to be more creative and doing new things. Like every time I turn around, instead of people creating a new idea or a new concept, they want to redo something. Like I just saw, I Know What You Did Last Summer, the remake of that. I just saw that. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the movie. It was good. But at the end of the day, how many times do we have to keep watching the same movies over and over and over? Like, can we just get one new concept? Right. And like, I don't know. I feel like all of the creativity in the world is somehow gone. Like no one can come up with anything new. They have to take something old and try to change it. And the one thing about remakes for me, they usually can never top the original. Do you feel like that?
No,
Like no matter
I
what
feel
you do, like no matter what you do, it's always gonna be second best to the original. And I don't know. I just feel like remake. And I think what really got me, I started watching these Spider-Man movies when I was younger, and they would remake the Spider-Man movie, and it would be the same exact movie, word for word, scene for scene, just with a different Spider-Man and a different Mary Jane. And after like the third or fourth one, I was like, what am I doing? Why am I rewatching the same movie, word for word, scene for scene, like after a while I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. What would possess me to feel like I need to watch the same movie over and over with a different actor or a different actress? Like that's where I draw the line. If you're gonna redo a movie or if there's gonna be a sequel or it's gonna be a series, there needs to be a different plot in each one. Right? Like you can't just slap the new movie on there with a new or the old script with a new guy, and put it out there. Like
hmm
that's just lazy. And it's like at this point, I'm so tired of the remakes of all the movies. Like, oh, let's remake this, let's remake this. Sometimes the original speaks for itself, and that line of work it's legendary and it's a masterpiece. Leave it alone. You're not going to be able to top what was done, so just leave it alone.
Yeah. I feel you on that. I'm like here, like I like some sequels, and I will like I like I don't not too much of a fan of chick flicks, but like guys movies like Fast and the Furious. It's like I know it's overplayed, overdone, but I always like watching the Fast and the Furious sequels. So I'm that person.
Oh.
Because I just I like the music. Cars
Well,
flying into space, that's a little,
I
but
watched Fast and the Furious like the first three movies, and then I stopped. I want to say when I stopped, Paul Walker was still alive. Like I stopped
mhm.
watching like after the first three movies. But this was okay. This is perfect because I was gonna ask you: is there a movie that you watched the sequel to that you enjoyed more than the original? So would Fast and the Furious fall into that? Like, do you feel like you watched the first one and then you watched like another one that you thought was even better? Do you feel that way?
It just depends because the last Fast and the Furious film, like I like it touched like it was like it ended and they're like in a river dam in Portugal. So some of it was filmed in Portugal. So I was just like, I was like reading the signs in Portuguese. I'm like, oh, they're gonna fall into the dam, right? On the movie. And my girlfriend's just like, don't ruin it, right? Like, how would you know this? Or because I'm reading the signs and I know what they say, right? So, like, it'll be interesting to see where it picks up, and like, because Portugal always has like a very sentimental place in my heart. So it's going to be very curious to when they pick up. But I wouldn't mind seeing like older movies like home, like for instance Home Alone, like the original Home Alone wasn't good, like was better than Home Alone 2, and then they just took it and went with it with different casts, and it was like, wait, what? Like, I don't know who this is, right? But I
Okay,
will know.
so Gina, I'm gonna say something really stupid right now. Thought Home Alone Lost in New York was better than Home Alone.
No, no,
I did. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I thought Home Alone Lost in New York was a masterpiece and it was better than the original Home Alone.
no, no, man, no, no. I think we're
Hey,
bumping heads with that. Even my
every
dad, who doesn't
Christmas,
understand English, he's watched the New York one. He's like, "What the hell is this bullshit? Bring back the
are
first
you
one. I want to watch the
serious?
first one."
Are you
Yeah.
serious? Even with the when he stayed at the Trump Hotel and he was like, what is he running from the bellhop guy or whatever? Like, I'm sorry, that movie was amazing. And then he went to the toy store, and then the guys were chasing him through the toy store. Like, I felt like it was a masterpiece. And don't get me wrong, I think Home Alone, the first one with the house, was amazing as well. That's one of the only ones where I'll be like, I think that the sequel was better because I thought it was just better. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I absolutely loved Lost in New York. And when I every Christmas, and I'm gonna watch a Home Alone movie every Christmas, I don't care. I will watch Lost in New York. I absolutely will.
Like, I'll watch. My dad doesn't care about what happens before Kevin's left home alone. He watches the scenes mostly when they're in the house getting like when they try to break into the house, because he finds that shit hilarious with like the different stuff that's happening in the house. He's like cracking up, laughing his head off. So he just wants to watch that part. He doesn't care about anything else but that part, right? Like, he'll watch the whole movie, but like that's the part he can't miss.
Well, I can't wait. Oh, and you know what? I have to go into this too. So, The Conjuring. I don't know if you watched any of the Conjuring movies. It's the Annabelle movies. Did you watch?
No, no, I haven't. I have not yet. Like, yeah, but that's the thing. I think with a lot of these movies, they're lacking creativity, and they just throw it on TV because that's what production wants. That's what the production companies, whether it be Warner Brothers, Fox, or Disney, that's what they paid for. They want another one, right? So they're on a strict timeline and they've got no creative juices to create a new plot, new storyline, like new characters or whatnot. So I think that's what their downfall is, because I'm looking at like some of the movies that's like, I'm like, Fantastic Four, like First Steps. I'm like, wasn't this already, like, didn't this already air? And then like the one that I'm actually kind of interested in seeing that I haven't seen yet is the Freakier Friday. So that kind of has like a twist
Oh,
to
yeah.
it
I'm
because
gonna watch that too. I'm gonna watch. I haven't seen it yet. I am gonna watch that though. But
so,
The Conjuring, so there's 10 movies in the series, right? I don't know if
oh God.
starting in 2013. So they had The Conjuring, then Annabelle, then Conjuring 2, then Annabelle Creation, then The Nun, which is a spinoff. The Curse of La Llorona, Annabelle Comes Home, Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, The Nun 2, and now the one that just came out, The Conjuring Last Rites. And this one is the one that is the newest one. And I've been very interested in the Conjuring movies. This is a series of movies I've seen every single one. I own each one. And I have actually bought an Annabelle doll to go into my home, which a lot of people think is extremely stupid of me. But yeah, I did purchase an Annabelle doll, not like a cursed one, but like one from Hot Topic, like from the store. And I do keep her in my house in a glass case, like she's kept in real life. And it's not just Annabelle. I also have it. Pennywise is in my home, Chucky, his wife, Tiffany, all of the scary people, I have like the actual dolls in my house, which a lot of people think is really dumb of me. And I have like a couple of my friends are psychics or clairvoyants, and they are 100% against me having these dolls in my home because these dolls, they can be vessels. So for instance, I could have people over my home and then they bring a spirit into my home with them, and then the spirit stays in one of the vessels is what they tell me. But I don't
Mm,
believe that that's going to happen, right, Gina? Like, why would they want to do that? Why would they want to hang out with me? I'm not cool, right? And why would they want to do that anyway?
don't know. But another series that I like that has a different, like a two and a three, was The Godfather. I like Godfather one and two.
So I don't think I ever saw the second Godfather. I think
So I liked both of them. Godfather 3 was trash, but like I'm very into mob movies. That's my thing. So I'm very into mob movies.
to understand the Godfather, so technically I probably should watch it again. I think I was too young to understand it when I saw it.
But I like some movies I wouldn't mind seeing because it's like a throwback for me would be like watching like The Wedding Singer, like if they like did a Wedding Singer number two, just because of the music, and I would just want to see where they are now, type of thing like that, right? That's
The
what I would want to see because I love 80s music, like, and I grew up with it, so that's what I would want to see, like kind of be remade. Maybe not so much The Naked Gun, but Dumb and Dumber 2 was also good too. Not as good as the original, but still good, but not as good as the original.
so I have a weird thing. Okay, so I don't find Adam Sandler funny. And a lot of people are like, "What?" I don't find Adam Sandler funny, so I've never liked any of his movies or anything. But the funny part about all of it is, which is even puzzling for me, I find Jim Carrey funny. And a lot of people are like, "Well, that's stupid because he's not funny, but Adam is." So it's really weird. So when it comes to any Adam Sandler movie, I'm just like, "Oh, it was okay, just wasn't funny." But I'll watch like Jim Carrey movies and I'll think, "Oh, this is so funny." And I've had this debate with people for like the longest time because they're like, "How can you not find Adam Sandler funny?" And I just don't. I've never found anything that he's done to be funny. And it's just this weird thing for me because he's like, a lot of people consider him to being one of the funniest actors that has ever lived. And I just, every joke he tells doesn't land with me. It's just odd, right? Like, I don't know why. I feel like he lands more under goofy and silly than funny. And for me, there's a difference between goofy and funny or silly and funny. Like I feel like I need it to be funny on a level of seriousness. And I feel like he's kind of like potty humor, and that just doesn't land for me. I don't know. And I know, because you find him funny, right? Like you definitely wouldn't agree with that, right?
Yeah, I've watched like a lot of his like comedy movies and whatnot. So I always have a good like laugh about it. There was Click that was pretty funny, but that also had other comedians as well in it. So I do find his stuff kind of humorous. I think one of my friends, is not a fan of Will Ferrell, but I find Will Ferrell hilarious too, and
I
Owen
love
Wilson.
Yeah, I love him. I think that there are some movies that were too silly to be funny, but for the most part, that guy is hilarious. He is so funny. I also found see, I was a bigger fan of Robin Williams. I found Robin Williams to just be unapologetically, and he didn't even have to try to be funny. He was just hilarious. And like humor and acting was just natural for him. And for me, Adam Sandler, it's almost like forced humor. And like for people like Robin Williams, it was just such a natural transition to being funny and acting. And I feel like with Adam Sandler, he tries to be funny. And for me, if you have to try to do it, it's not natural. So I just never felt like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and like he was in that, like I believe Adam Sandler was in on SNL when it was actually good with a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
bunch of other.
Yeah, he was.
Pardon me?
I find every good actor was on SNL at some point. Like if you find
Hmm.
funny in any way, that's kind of like a rite of passage. Like when people tell you, "Oh, I went to Cornell or I went to Yale," I feel like that's a rite of passage for comedians and actors. They had to have went through SNL at some point in order to get to that point, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and I think Jim Carrey, his start off was on Mad TV.
Oh my God, you're right. He did start off on Mad TV. That's so funny. I always found him to be funny though, and a lot of people are like, "Ew, no, he's not funny." But yeah, he's funny to me. Like Bruce Almighty, girl, that was so funny. And also, what's even more funny, I don't think Adam Sandler is funny, but I enjoyed 50 First Dates.
Yeah, yeah, that was
But
funny. It was,
I still don't think he's funny, but that movie was funny, and I don't care what anybody says. So it's like I don't even stand on what I believe because I did find that movie to be hilarious. That movie was so good.
yeah, it was really funny and sweet. And I think Drew Barrymore more and him, they just feed off each other a lot. So like I think they do make a great duo when it comes to movies, but that's just my personal opinion.
Drew Barrymore is amazing in her own right, but yeah, teaming her up with him, I think that might be what made it funny. It was her and him playing off of each other because I don't find him funny on his own, but when he was acting with Drew, I was laughing. It was funny, and I think you're right. I think it's the dynamic of teaming up two people together and that perspective that they give of those characters. I think that makes a difference as well.
Oh no, he wasn't on Mad TV. Jim Carrey was on In Living Color, not Mad TV. Sorry.
Oh, in Living Color, so that's going back even farther.
Yeah, and Saturday Night Live, but it was a host gig, but he started like I think he broke out with In Living Color.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I loved
Yeah.
it in color. That show had a very strong influence on me as a child. Like I watched that show a lot. I remember we would rush home. I don't want to age myself, but we would rush home because there was no such thing as a DVR. So we would make sure
Hmm.
had like pizza and stuff, and we would make sure that we would watch it. And oh God, let me tell y'all, we would rush home, and I was so poor growing up. We had like a 19 or less inch black and white TV that was the only TV we had, and and it had an antenna on it, and that's how we would watch in living color. And that was the happiest I've ever been, Gina, like in that time. And it goes to show you how little you need to be happy because now I have in my one room I have a 150-inch screen, whatever. But when I was a kid watching Mad or in living color and Mad TV on a black and white TV because that's all we had in color existed, and I was so happy watching the TV show with so little. It just shows you like it doesn't take much to generate happiness in your life. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Speaking of generating happiness in your life, somebody got engaged and it kind of took over the world. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey. Is it Kelsey or is it Couch? I don't know. But
Kelsey.
Kelsey, so they got engaged um this past week. And the world has kind of been in awe of this situation. Now, I like Taylor Swift. I think her music is great. I think as a songwriter and a performer, she's actually amazing. But when it comes to her personal life and, that type of stuff, I'm not like one of those Swifties where I follow along. Like for instance, when she makes announcements and stuff, the Swifties will go and they'll link the dates together and they'll figure out because I guess she speaks subliminally to her fans.
Yeah.
When she does things or when she releases things, there's also a deeper unseen meaning. And the Swifties will go and they're like, oh well, this date corresponds with this, and Mercury is in retrograde, and they'll figure out all this weird stuff, and they'll figure out this little hidden message from Taylor. I've never been that way with her or whatever. I think that she's amazing. And like I told you back in the day when I met her, super nice, super kind, super humble. And I don't have one negative thing to say about Taylor Swift. I've never encountered anything negative about her, but I'm happy that she's engaged because I know that she's dated a lot of what do you call them? Frogs, right? Like
I
she's
was gonna say F boys.
Yeah, she's dated a lot of froggy F boys, and she's finally found, I guess, the guy that is gonna make her happy. And I'm happy for her. But at the end of the day, I'm not as invested in her life and in her relationship and stuff as the Swifties are. Like when this announcement came out, what was the first thing you thought?
I wanted to see what her ring looked like because that's some heavy competition to go because Portuguese soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo proposed to his wife too, or like his fiance, and they have kids together and whatnot. And her rock is huge. So I was just like, let me zoom in on Taylor's ring. And I'm like, ooh, yikes. I'm like, that don't look too pretty.
I don't know. I didn't see the ring. So I don't.
I'll send you a picture of it. For me, it personally looked like it was a skull. Like, yeah, it was. I showed one of my coworkers, and I'm like, "Ooh,
Oh, I'm looking. Okay, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it now. And you're right. This doesn't look like the ring that you would put on the most famous woman in the world's hand. You're right. It doesn't look like it's worthy of her. But, that's not for me to determine. That's for Taylor to determine. So apparently, it is a 7 to 13 karat elongated antique fashion cut diamond set in a yellow gold mounting. Estimated cost minimum 400,000 to over 1 million. So it's expensive. How much do you think? Okay, so say for instance you were getting engaged and you're a very famous woman. Like say for instance you have over 10 number one hits. What's the minimum cost that you think an engagement ring should cost to be engaged to you?
you know what? I've always said this despite money. I'm a simple person. It doesn't even matter about the ring or the rock size. It matters, and I'm not a shallow person, and money can buy like happiness. The ring doesn't do anything for me. I'm not a jewelry person, so whatever a person can afford and is willing to show their love with that ring, as long as it's my taste, I'm fine with it. It could be like a twist tie from the grocery store, and I would be
Ooh.
happy with it.
Well,
Yeah.
if somebody shows up to me with a twist tie from the grocery store, we are not getting married, Gina. We are not getting married. Like, if you want to marry me, I expect a Range Rover. I expect a private jet. I expect to be on some sort of private island or in front of some sort of castle when we get engaged. Like, I'm a woman when it comes to that. Like, I want to be wined and dined and I want to be shown that I'm special. So, like,
I just want a nice little cute princess cut like ring, and
but
I'm
how
fine.
much is too little? Like, for real. Like, okay, say for instance, a man approaches you and he has a ring that costs $295 and he wants to marry you. Are you going to say
That's
absolutely
fine.
not?
That's fine.
Really?
Depending if it's my taste for the ring. Yeah. Depending if
Oh,
I like the
wow.
ring and if it's something that I can use daily. I don't want to be taking off this ring, putting it through like jewelry boxes or safes. I want to be proud to wear it, right? Engagement rings are expensive. You have to insure some of them with the cost of them. And then if something happens to it, and we know how expensive housing is here, right, George? You know that. And I would rather invest in a house or an apartment or a condo than have something on my finger, like
I mean,
in place of it.
I understand. I mean, at the end of the day, love isn't Jennifer Lopez's song "Love Don't Cost a Thing." It's love and money are separate, but I guess at the end of the day, when you're a big name person, it's you have to. I guess if Travis Kelce would have approached her with something less than $1 million, then the public would have been like, "Oh, he's not good enough for her." Because at the end of the day, the public thinks that they have some sort of take or stake in her relationship and who she dates and everything because they've been following her career and supporting her for so long. They feel like they have to give their approval. So I feel like he had to show up and show out a little bit in order for, the fans to be okay with this situation. But at the end of the day, remember, I don't know if a lot of people know this, Gina, but Travis Kelce used to be with someone else before Taylor, multiple girls, and he
Hmm.
actually had a TV show where he was looking for a woman to marry or to date or whatever. And they said that the way that he used to act, look, I'm don't shoot the messenger here, but they're saying the way that he used to act and conduct himself and the type of women that he used to date, and then the person that he became when he started dating Taylor Swift, they're saying that it's two different people. Right? Like for instance, and I don't want to get technical or political here, but he used to date a African American woman, and he dressed a little more street when he was with her, and he conducted himself a lot differently. He didn't wear his golf outfits and his scarves the way that he does with Taylor Swift. Do you think that Travis Kelce is actually the Travis Kelce that we see with Taylor Swift, or do you think that he assumed the position of being Taylor Swift's husband, or do you not know enough to answer that question?
I don't know enough to answer that question. However, people change and evolve. We all change. Like I don't know when those last relationships were, or when that TV show was. So people change and evolve their own sense of style and fashion as they become older. So what you used to wear back then, you might look, well, I know for me, when I used to wear back then, I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? To now, it's just like, okay, whatever I wear is comfortable and I'm in my own skin, right? We have to do like let's see what he was wearing when he wasn't dating anybody, when he was not dating Taylor, and just make that proper like analyzation about his clothing and like how he was acting and whatnot, right? Because you never know, but sometimes women do change men for the better or for the worse, right? And so as long as you're growing together and making a relationship and a foundation and trust, then that's fine by me, right? As long as you guys both have a mutual understanding with it.
I'm gonna send you a photo of Travis Kelce with his ex-girlfriend, and I want to get your reaction to it. Um, so just give me a minute here. But I don't know. I think for me, it's interesting the way that he looks and conducts himself. And hold on, how do I do this? Hold on, give me a second. No. Okay, hold on. I think I got it. So, wait, did I do it? Yeah, here we go. Tell me what you think of this photo and the way that he looks and demeanor that he has in this photo compared to who he is with Taylor Swift.
How long ago was this photo?
2017.
That's a long time ago, George.
But do you see what I'm saying though?
Yeah, that was 7 years ago. I think that was the fashion 7 years ago.
I mean, I like to think that it's still okay to dress that way. Do
Exactly. But like, I don't see guys, well, I still do
you
see
find
guys
it
wearing skinny
interesting?
jeans.
Do you find it interesting that he's dressed more street and he's with an African American woman, and now
Mhm.
that he's with a Caucasian woman, he's dressed more golf? Do you find that interesting?
I think sometimes like it might come out a little bit. Like I've seen what he wears sometimes, and I'm like, ew, why would you wear that? So I'm like, ew, that's ugly, right? But
Here's
um,
my theory. I think that he became whoever Taylor Swift wanted to marry. And let me explain something to you, Gina. If Taylor Swift was like, "Hey, you're cute. Do you want to get married?" And I'll be like, "All right, who do you want me to be?" I would do the same thing. So am I judging him? Absolutely not, because marrying Taylor Swift doesn't have any negative consequences on his life. Whether they get married and they're married for 45 years or 45 seconds, it's going to have a very positive impact on his life and career. So don't get me wrong, if Taylor Swift approaches you and says she wants to marry you, you will do what Taylor Swift wants. And I think what's weird to me is how many people think that they're genuinely in love. I guess that's the thing for me. I think he's in love with the idea of being married to Taylor Swift. I think that's just my opinion, right? I think just like, for instance, Gina, let's say for instance you were minding your own business one day and you get a DM from let's say who's your favorite NK New Kids on the Block person? Who's your favorite one?
Well, he's my favorite, but he's married, so that would be Donnie Wahlberg.
All right, so say Donnie Wahlberg decides to divorce Jenny McCarthy. Is he married to Jenny McCarthy?
Hmm.
All right, so let's say they're having a horrible spat and they're getting divorced. And you're at a concert and he brings you up on stage and he sings a song to you and then backstage he's like, "You're really pretty. You're the everything I've ever wanted. Do you want to get married?" What would you say?
I'd be like, "Are you crazy? I just met you."
But
So,
you still marry him, right? Because it's your favorite person in the world, right? Even if it lasts 14 days, you would still do it, right?
well, even if it lasted 3 days in Vegas, I'd probably still do it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So if you're minding your own business and Taylor Swift comes up to you and says, "Hey, you're cute, you want to get married?" Hell yeah. Like hell yeah. So I think what's really interesting to me about their relationship is how many people think that it's genuine. And I'm not saying that he doesn't like her and she doesn't like him, but I think at the end of the day, Taylor Swift could never be in a relationship where someone fully loves her because of who she is. And it's unfortunate. But when you become that level of celebrity, no one is ever going to just love you. They have to love your persona as well. And at the end of the day, being with Taylor Swift is going to be a life changing thing for you, who no matter who you are. And don't get me wrong, Travis Kelce is a very famous person in its own right. But let's be real, Gina. Did you know who he was before he got involved with Taylor Swift? Because I didn't.
No,
Had you have
but I also don't watch football.
Neither do I. I had never heard his name. I had never seen his TV show. Like he existed in a small realm, right? There was a realm of people who knew that he was around. I wasn't a part of that. But once he became linked to Taylor Swift, he became the most famous person in the world. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm so happy for her. They're genuinely in love." And I was like, "Well, no one can genuinely be in love with Taylor Swift because she's Taylor Swift. There's nothing genuine about love when it comes to that amount of money, unfortunately. There's never going to be a real connection. Like, for instance, Gina, if you fell in love with somebody one of these boy band members that you've been following around your whole life, you love him, but it's not a genuine love because you're also in love with the idea of him. And I think
Hmm.
that's where things get a little cloudy, right? Because you're like, "Oh no, I love this person. I love this person. I love this person." And it's like you do, but you also adore this person because you've adored them for so long and they've been such a driving force in your life. They've been a poster on your wall. And I've always told people, I was like, if someone has ever been a poster on your wall, and you are end up in a relationship with them, that's not a genuine relationship because you can't be in love with someone that you adored. Because
Exactly.
you can't adore someone and love them at the same time because if you adore them, it means that you put them on a pedestal and they're almost
Pedestal.
real. Right. They're almost not real to you. They're a character. You can't be in love with a character. You have to be in love with the person, their soul, and who they are. So at
Hmm.
the end of the day, I think Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are a powerful couple in the industry. But do they genuinely love each other? I don't think it's possible. Will they make it? It's very possible because not very many people can really relate to the situation that they're in. So there's only a handful of people who could deal with this type of scrutiny. So will they be able to push through and figure it out? Maybe. Will they genuinely love each other? Nah. It's not possible, unfortunately.
Yeah, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, so we're not there. We're not that fly in the wall, so we'll see what happens. And then if they do break up or whatever, then it's gonna be explosive.
I would love to see like what type of prenup she's gonna draw up.
Oh, that prenup is going to be very, very.
It's gonna be thousands of pages, Gina, because y- he has so much to lose, right? And he has so much to gain. So I'm just so curious. I would love to meet the lawyer who has to draft that up because this is gonna be like a year-long job. Because she has so many different assets and things to take into consideration that a normal couple would never have to think about. So the idea of them getting married, like the prenup will have to be at least 1,000 pages long because there's just things that you wouldn't even think about that they would have to cover in great detail in order to make this work. So if we even get that far, at the end of the day, this is just their engagement. And and I was thinking that too, because a lot of people are like, what do you think the wedding would look like and how much it would cost? And I was like, I don't even want to think about that. I was like, I'm assuming they would rent like an entire country. And I don't like how do you even do that? Like, how does someone that big? I would assume they would rent an island and kick everyone off the island so everyone can come in and be a part of this event. Like, I don't even know how do you even pull off something of that magnitude, right? Like, the only thing I could think close that would come close to it is like when Princess Diana got married, right? Like, that's
Mhm.
the closest we could get to that level of an event, right? Like, I don't.
Well, I think what's going to blow them away is, and I'm a soccer fan, is the Cristiano Ronaldo and Georgina wedding. And I sent you a picture of her engagement ring, and that thing is like she basically got what you want out of an engagement, a Range Rover and stuff like that. They give each other expensive luxury gifts for birthdays and stuff like that. But reading what the prenup agreement was, she's gonna, if they ever split up, she's going to get a monthly assistance of 121K for personal expenses. And now I don't even know if this is in euros or US or whatnot. 5.6 million in real estate, including properties in Madrid and Lisbon. A lifetime pension of about 110 per month. Child support in the amount of 500,000 per month to ensure the maintenance of their luxurious lifestyle. 2 million a year for lifestyle maintenance, which includes personal staff, clothing, and beauty care. Two luxury cars selected from Ronaldo's personal collection. Fully covered first class private jet, as well as two luxury vacations each year, and neither Cristiano Ronaldo nor Georgina have confirmed the existence of the prenuptial agreement, but speculation has already ignited tabloids and social media for now the couple is focused on a long-awaited wedding. But fans can't stop asking, is the most expensive wedding in football history?
Wow. And imagine, Gina, just imagine this is what he put in the prenuptial agreement, meaning that this is the cheapest way for him to break up with her. So imagine what it would look like if there wasn't a prenup. Because
Oh, Lord.
this is pennies to him. What you just read would be pennies to this man. So this is his easy way out. But for a normal person, when you hear this, you're like, oh my God. Like, are you
Right?
serious? But this is the lowest and cheapest way for him to get out of the marriage. This man is so rich. It's unfathomable for a normal person to even understand the level of lifestyle that he lives. So to read that just to show you that this is the cheapest that he could get off of getting out of a marriage just shows the level of money that he has. And it's kind of crazy to think that there's people in the world that have that much money. It's like, how do you even, I don't even know what to think. What would you even do with that much money? Like, I don't even know how I would react to that. Like, having that much money just burning a hole in your pocket is just insane to me.
And I'm sure a lot of his assets and whatnot are in his mom's name.
Oh, so he's hidden a lot of assets. I mean, that's probably true. It's better to not have everything in your name just in case someone wants to sue you or in case
Hmm.
you do something stupid. So it is very smart to have your things spread out across places and family and countries, just to make sure that you're making the right decision, and I don't know. This whole thing, all these rich people getting married, it's just there's a lot to keep up with, right? in the world of celebrity news and love and relationships. There's so much to keep up with. Oh, speaking of love, so Love Island was in the news again. So we just recently watched the reunion of Love Island, and we found out a lot of people didn't make it. Relationships didn't make it even to the reunion, and we also found out that Taylor, who is the resident cowboy, where is he from again, Gina? Is it Arkansas? Arkansas comes.
Um, Texas is more coming into me, but
So
keep
Taylor,
talking.
our resident cowboy, was actually in Arizona at the time, but I think he's from Texas, Gina. You might be right. Texas rang a bell to me too. Somebody was also from Arkansas, but I can't remember who it was. But he was in a rodeo in Arizona, and he got injured. Okay, so the extent of the injuries we don't know, but there was a TikTok video that showcased Taylor on a horse in the rodeo, and it looked like his horse fell to the ground. And from what I could see in the video, another horse trampled him on
He's
the.
from Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma. I wasn't even close. I mean, the states are close, but I wasn't even close. So who's from? Is Shelly the one from Texas? Maybe it's Shelly that's from Texas. Somebody's from Texas,
Maybe
but okay.
maybe it's Olandria. But anyways, continue talking.
For Landria. So we don't know the level of injury, but we did see a picture of him in the hospital giving us the thumbs up. So we do know. And Gina, if I remember correctly, was he in a neck brace?
He was.
He was in a neck.
Olandria is from Alabama.
Oh gosh, I'm just gonna stop, Gina, because I'm not getting any of these right. I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna stop. They're all from the South. They're all from the South. I'm just gonna leave it alone because I don't know what I'm talking about. But he was in a neck brace and it didn't look great, but he was giving us a thumbs up. Usually the thumbs up means that things are going in the right direction. Although the guy from Martin, remember what was his name? Tommy from Martin. He was in the hospital and he gave us the thumbs up and everything we thought was going well. And he unfortunately passed away after taking that photo. So I don't like to take that photo as, oh, he's fine, because we don't know that. But it did, from when I watched the video a few times, it didn't look great. Being trampled by a horse is not great in any way, shape, or form. And it definitely looked like he hit the ground and then the other horse, another person was riding a horse, the horse's feet came in contact with his body multiple times, which terribly scary. Very
It is.
scary. And a horse, I don't know if people realize how much a horse weighs and how much strength they carry with them. This is not a small injury. So we don't know. We're waiting on an update to get any more information on how he's doing, but he's alive, thank goodness. But we just don't know if he's broken any bones or if there's any long-term rehabilitation that he's looking at. And this comes at a really weird time because he's in the middle of doing the press for the show. The show just ended. They're going to be doing Love Island games. They're going to be doing a lot of things for the show. So if he's going to be out of commission, this is a really bad time for his career, for him to be out of commission because all of the cast, everyone who is a part of the show has been all over the country, all over the world, doing press and different things and appearances for the show. So this would definitely put a damper on his income and his way to capitalize from his appearance on the show.
But like, yeah, you weren't really a fan of Taylor, but we don't wish ill will upon anybody. So just to make that all clear, we don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. Neither do I. Like any accident like that where it can leave you paralyzed really hits close to home. So I like just well wishes to him and a speedy recovery, and I hope it's nothing as serious as being a paraplegic or whatnot, because that's real. It's gonna alter his life completely. I know he loves the rodeo. He's always been into the Cowboys, but hopefully he can take a step back, right, and not do it and because of he sustained this injury and whatnot, right? So he needs to look out for himself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I might not care for people on a TV show, but I don't want anything to happen to them. So yeah, I hope that he's okay and I hope that he can rehabilitate from this fully. Because like you said, this could be life altering and it really goes to show how life can be completely fine one minute and you blink and things are completely upside down. And it definitely shows how he went from being on the biggest show in the world to being on top of the world to being the most talked about person to being in a hospital. And it really shows you life comes at you fast, Gina. Like you don't have any time to even prepare for life. Life is literally a whirlwind. It's a hurricane. It's a tornado. It literally doesn't even give you any warning.
And again, like we don't like we're not fans because of what is depicted on TV, but we already know production has a lot of movement of characters like that, right? So from what we've seen with other reality TV shows
Oh,
and
absolutely.
characters, they're just characters, right? So we don't know them personally to be like to kind of be like, I don't like this person. Well, you don't like this person because it's what is portrayed on TV and what is like what production is feeding us at the same time at the end of the day. So
Yep, you're right. Every TV show has to have a villain. And a lot of times the people that are portrayed a villain are not actually villains, but they're portrayed in that way. And it's funny because some of my best friends who've been on TV shows are considered villains. And since I've gotten a chance to get to know them on a deeper and personal level, I know who they really are. So
exactly.
I can't let, whatever a TV show is portraying about someone hold any accuracy because who they portray you to be on a TV show is not who you are. So for instance, say for instance you film for 3 weeks for a TV show and it's narrowed down into 8 hours of footage. You cannot base 8 hours of footage and say that this is who that person is because that's we live an entire lifetime on this earth and there are people who've done things or who've turned their lives around or had one bad moment. So we can't do that. So at the end of the day, we know that whoever you look like or appear to be on TV is not necessarily in any way a definition of what your character really is. And I hope that
Exactly. And you know that firsthand. You definitely know that firsthand.
absolutely, I definitely understand it. And I know that it's important to have an open mind when it comes to people. If you heard something or you saw them on TV or you saw something, there's three sides to every story, right?
Hmm.
Don't think that you know everything about a situation because you heard one side. Oh, so I want to talk about this Too Fit for TV. So the documentary about The Biggest Loser. So first of all, Gina, did you watch The Biggest Loser when it was on?
I didn't.
See, neither did I. Neither did I. I do remember watching an episode or two with my mom when I was a kid, right? I do remember watching it. I think she watched it specifically. And I remember it was on and we did watch an episode or two, but I didn't really watch it. So I did watch the documentary though, but I can't pretend that I didn't know what it was. I was very familiar with the show. But I didn't, know any of the contestants or follow any of the contestants after the show aired. But this documentary was really interesting because they showed some of the advertising from the show and they showed the commercials that they would run. And it was almost like the commercials and advertisements were making fun of overweight people. And like they would, for instance, some of the things on the show, they would make them carry donuts or sweets from one part of the stage to the other, but they couldn't use their hands. They had to use their mouths, and it was almost like the exploitation of obese people. And it was just really eye-opening to see it because you have to remember years and years ago, we didn't really understand the severity of bullying and being intolerant. And as time went on, the world got more woke and we understood what intolerance looks like and what bullying looks like and what we should look for. And going back, I never watched the show. So when I was watching it for the first time during the documentary, I was like, they really did that? Like one of the commercials, the contestants were running and the people in the news show, there's a meme about this actually. They made it seem like there was an earthquake because they were running. And I was like, this would never fly. Like if we were advertising for a TV show now, this would never fly. We would have never accepted this type of exploitation of people, regardless, of the situation. I was like, so it's crazy to see how the show was able to go about doing things like this and people found it to be entertainment. And again, we always confuse entertainment with other things. Like when people are struggling with a health issue, obesity is a health issue, whether people want to, accept it or not. Obesity is a health issue. It's not about entertainment, it's about getting the person the help that they need and giving them the tools to be successful. But at the end of the day, do you feel like the show cared about the contestants on the show and
No,
they wanted them to lose weight? Like, what do you think the real motive of this show was?
I think it was to belittle and make fun of people who had like obesity and like eating disorder, like eating problems. I think that was the whole end game to this.
Well, we also learned, Gina, that they were doing some pretty unorthodox things, like having people work out for 10 or 15 hours a day. When I heard what they were doing, because I guess what the whole idea of the show was rapid weight loss. They wanted by this time the season started to the time that season ended, it needed to be rapid weight loss, which I understand. America and other countries were into instant gratification. We need to see instant results. But a lot of times they were eating, I don't know, I think they said 800 calories, and then they were working out for 8 to 10 hours a day. That doesn't sound right, right? Like as someone, Gina, as someone who's lost weight the healthy and correct way,
Mm.
what did you think of the way that they were inducing the weight loss? How did you feel about it?
I was just like, for someone who's gone through it, but not to that extent, I was just like, oh my God, how can you exploit people like that? Like they always say, fast diets and whatever, it's never going to work. You're like, you have to lose the weight gradually, right? And incorporate different foods and a healthy lifestyle and into and like healthy exercise in your body and in your system, like, or else you're gonna fall back and go back to status quo, like how you were before. And that's exactly what happened in some cases.
Well, yeah, a lot of the people gained the weight back. Some of them even gained back more of the weight because they didn't change their lifestyle. They didn't give them the tools. And I tell people all the time when it comes to weight loss and health, it's about giving people the tools and teaching them how to learn how to use the tools. Because you can give somebody all of the tools. It kind of goes back to that statement: you can lead a horse to water, you can't make the horse drink it. You can give somebody all of the tools that they need to be successful, but if you don't teach them how to use the tools are useless to them. And giving them a diet or telling them to work out, and those are all important, but when you give them an unorthodox way of doing things that can't be sustained long term, no one would be able to work out for 15 or 20 hours a day for the rest of their lives. They would have a stroke or a heart attack. That's not sustainable. So that's not a real lifelong tool for them to use. So giving them the tools to lose weight rapidly so the TV show could capture the pounds on the scale, that's not giving them the tools needed to be successful lifelong. And I think, the shows that we watch now that have to do with weight, like 1,000 pound sisters, 1,000 pound best friends, my 600 pound life, the shows have focused more on teaching the people how to sustain a healthy lifestyle for a lifetime. And I think that, the shows that we have now, yes, they do exploit. I think that it's unfair to show a 600 pound person in the shower, right? Like there are exploitations going on, but at the end of the day, they are instilling in them real strategies to sustain lifelong success. And I think that that's what was lacking on The Biggest Loser. Like they're like, oh well, is if you lose the most amount of weight in the shortest amount of time, we'll give you $250,000 and you win the show. Like I understand the aspect of the game show, but I think putting on the game show and weight loss together, it's imbalanced because it's not really winning a prize to get yourself healthy. And I think putting that thought into people's mind, I think is unfair, right? Because it's like where you need to be mentally to lose weight, it shouldn't be driven by a $250,000 check. And it shouldn't be driven by winning a TV show. It should be driven by your real want and need to become healthy. And
Yeah, your desire to do so.
Right. And I think the show definitely it made some waves and it got a lot of people interested. Oh, I want to ask you a question. Did you know who Jillian Michaels was before you watched the documentary?
No, like I've watched like the episodes, like you said, here and there, right? It wasn't really on my like, oh, must watch list, right? It was mostly like, oh, this is on TV, okay, whatever, right? So, and like, something like background noise I would put on, but nothing to the extent where, oh, like knew the time slot, knew the channel, nothing like that. But no, I didn't know who she was.
So I didn't watch her on The Biggest Loser, but I knew exactly who she was, and I've actually met her a couple of times in real life. She did like a show, a motivational speaking show back in Ohio, and I went and saw her there and I met her. And I didn't know anything about how she acted on The Biggest Loser because I didn't watch it. But watching it, how did you feel about the way that the fitness coaches spoke to the contestants? Like, how do you feel about yelling and screaming at people? Because that
That's
was
not the way to motivate people.
see,
That's you're belittling them, right? That's not the way that you would want to be spoken to. So why would you speak to anybody like that at the same time? That's not motivation at all.
I don't know. I felt the same way because I was like, yeah, I'm a firm believer in tough love, Gina, though. But I believe that sometimes the best way to show people you care is to give through tough love. But I do think yelling and screaming at people and making them feel like um they're not
They're
what
worthless.
they're right, like they don't deserve your kindness. Like I don't feel like that's the right way to motivate people. And when I saw the videos of the way that they were screaming and people would be crying and they're like, "Oh, you're not strong enough, you're not good enough, you should go home. I don't want you on my team." Like, I didn't feel like that was the right way to motivate people, but again, they turned this into a game show. And I think the game show aspect was, you need to win. But at the end of the day, the health aspect, because what even more interesting, there was doctors that worked on the show. And the doctors were there to make sure that everyone was healthy and nothing was going on that would make anyone's health to be at risk. How do you feel about that? Because some of the doctors were like, oh, well, this is okay. What you're doing. Do you believe that? Do you believe that everything that they were doing and the way that they were doing these workout sessions and weight loss sessions and the diet that they were feeding these people. How do you feel? Do you feel like the doctors were overlooking things? Like, because as a
I
doc,
do. I think they were paid, like they were paid basically to say what production wanted them to say.
that's a scary thing, Gina. Like for a doctor, because any doctor would have looked at the way things were done and saw automatically this is not the correct way to do this. There's because any doctor will tell you when it comes to losing weight, you shouldn't be losing more than 2 pounds a week, right? Like
Hmm.
that when you want to get down to actual facts, 2 pounds a week is the most healthy way to drop weight. And if you're losing 4 pounds a week, 5 pounds a week, I think I was watching on some of the weigh-ins, people were losing 10 or 15 pounds. That's not healthy. There's a right and wrong way to do things. And as a doctor, I think that it's a shame that people were there and saying this is okay, knowing what their medical training had taught them that it's not okay. And
But there was one doctor actually on there who was on the documentary, who said like this, I forgot his name, but he was on there as well saying that this is not okay. Like like he would point out the risk factors and like basically like what his opinion was shunned basically of, like no, that's not what we want to hear.
Mm, this is something, Gina. This is really interesting. And to watch the stories from the people who live them, like we were hearing from the different contestants and how the show affected their lives and it still affects their lives to this day. It just was really eye-opening and it just really shows that the exploitation of people when it comes to TV, reality shows and game shows and production of shows, it's still there This show was in the early 2000s, but we're in 2025 and there are still shows doing this. There are still
Hmm.
things in production that are exploiting the people on the show, and we have not grown from this. We have not stopped the exploitation of people in reality TV, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, money has become more important than the health and well-being of people. And I don't know why we don't value people. I don't know why the bottom line at the end of the day is they want to get the shot, they want to get the ratings, and they don't really care how it affects the people involved. I don't know how we've gotten to that point still in 2025 where no one has really stood up to reality TV, to production, to these shows, to these networks and said, hey, you have to start treating these contestants like human beings and not pawns that you're using to get money. And I think this documentary has really opened a lot of eyes to what we saw. Because if they would have never done this documentary, Gina, a lot of people never would have known what was going on because, like you and I, we didn't watch the show. We didn't know all the exploitation that was going on with the show. And we had no idea that those people, even 10, 15, 20 years ago, are still living with the effects of what they went through on this show. We never would have known that if no one would have ever spoken up.
Exactly. Like, and they're still dealing with the side effects, like you said, being on the show, the weight gain, the emotional, physical toll it has on somebody.
Yeah, it's PTSD. It's post-traumatic stress. They have to relive those horrible, horrifying moments. And not only do they have to relive them in their mind, that show is streaming. So people are reliving those horrible moments every day that these people
Hmm.
went through. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that when they do these shows, and you can go back and watch shows from years and years ago, people's worst moments, their worst, seeing them at their worst, they're able to relive over and over on these shows. And it's so unfortunate. And if you
Their crash out, their fallouts.
Right, right. And it's like a lot of people are trying to move forward, and unfortunately they can't because that stuff is streaming somewhere or it's airing as a rerun somewhere, and they might accidentally scroll through and see their worst, lowest moment again after years and years and years. So if you haven't watched Fit for TV, Gina, what was that streaming on? Was that on Netflix?
That was on Netflix.
If you haven't watched Fit for TV, make sure you watch it. It was on Netflix. There's only 3 episodes, but there's a lot in there, and it's very eye opening. So make sure you tune into that. I was very, very intrigued in that story, especially since it's something that happened right around me, and I missed it. Right? I didn't watch the show. I didn't
I'm
watch.
the one that told you to watch it.
Yeah, Gina, you did. And I was like, oh, I remember that show. I totally remember the craze of it. I didn't watch it. I was too young to get into something like that. Right? Like I was more into the real world. The other type of shows. That show was a little too adult or positive for me. I wanted to watch some of the stupid messy stuff. Right. So I missed that. I wasn't looking into shows that were looking to change people's lives for the better or, losing weight. That was too
Or in this case, the worst.
well, right. The worst. I was too young to get into that, but I'm glad that I watched it. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and stream that and let us know what you think of it. Oh, so I want to talk about the Backstreet Boys. They've been in the news a lot lately because they've been doing shows at the Sphere in Vegas, which is a huge deal. I don't know. Gina, you've been to the Sphere, right?
I haven't been to the Sphere, but I am going in January.
Oh, so you'll be there because they say seeing a show at the Sphere is like it's unlike anything you've ever experienced. So I'm gonna expect a full report from you from the Sphere.
Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry.
I have not seen a show at the Sphere. I have been to the Sphere, but I haven't seen a show at the Sphere. So I'm gonna need a full on recap of the show at the Sphere. But there was a story going around that the Backstreet Boys are making about $4 million a show. That's a lot of money, Gina. Because
Well, that doesn't surprise me because tickets are anywhere between like 500 to $1,000. It's like they're getting money, the venue's getting money. Like the verified tickets, the resale tickets are anywhere between five to $1,000. When I bought the tickets, they were same thing, about $1,000, and it was like premium or platinum seating or whatever Ticketmaster wants to call it. So it wasn't even the resale tickets. And I got my tickets for a lot cheaper than $500. I was just floored and in shock and just everything else.
My question, why do you think a group that is pushing 35 years in the making, how are they able to attract so many people over and over and over to these shows? Because they don't really put out new music. They haven't really done much new. So this is like a nostalgia that they're selling. How are they able to pull in $4 million a show? Like, other boy bands have also tried going on tour and reliving their glory days and doing shows. They haven't made it to where they can pull in such a large amount of money because they're on tour a lot, right? Like Backstreet Boys, every time you go and look at their website, they're on tour. They're always going somewhere to perform. How are they able to get so many people to show up to these shows over and over? Because let's be realistic, they're not gaining new fans because they don't have anything on the radio. They're not doing much new now. So these are people that have been fans from the beginning. So, for instance, what makes you want to go and see them over and over and over, singing the same songs? What makes something click in you that this has to be done?
It just has to be done, George. There's no questions about it. Okay, so I didn't go in July and August to go see them because I had just come back from Vegas in July from seeing New Kids on the Block. And then I'm like, okay, like I can't make that financial decision. It's not a smart financial decision for for July and August. I'd be dumb if I went. And two of my friends went, and they've gone again. They've gone twice already. I haven't gone at all. One of my other friends wants to go. She's going to. I don't know when she's going, December or January, but she's already gone once too. So I think one time, God willing, I hope one time will be enough for me to get, that and hoping that they go on tour next year and so I can see them again. I think it's the nostalgia and like it's basically the theme of this tour that or this residency at the Sphere is millennium. Like, so you're taking it back. Like, you're taking it back to your childhood days, to your teen years, the white, the sparkles, the silver eyeshadow, right? So it's just nostalgia. So I remember I was telling my girlfriends, I'm like, okay. I messaged her and I'm like, they're releasing more dates, December and January. Mommy vacation? Question mark. And she's just like, I have to ask my husband. Let's see what he says. And she's like, husband said yes. And then I just bought a fan club membership to Backstreet Boys and ended up getting my tickets for $167 US, which is basically $230 Canadian. And I was on a roll. Like I was just like, four tickets, we're good. Let's go. And my older brothers are just like, you're crazy. You should have brought more tickets. Do you know how much money you could have made if you had bought four tickets? But I was just considered getting four tickets for me and my friends, and I was happy. Um, because I saw what the prices were like after, and they're like, you did good. Like, we did good. Like for tickets for $230. And there says that there's no obstructions, full view of the stage. That's what I want. My brothers are just like, you're dumb. You should have bought, like, why didn't you buy higher tickets so you can see the view of the Sphere and the graphics? I'm like, I ain't going to see the graphics. I'm going to see Backstreet Boys. I don't care about the graphics.
Ah, I don't know. I mean, I've never been one of those people where I have to see the same person in concert over and over and over. I do like every now and then going to a fun little throwback show. Like I recently saw O Town. And I've seen them in concert, I don't know, at least 10 times. And but every year I don't have to see them. Like New Kids.
No, I haven't gone to see Backstreet Boys for like 3 years.
Oh, okay, so 3 years. Okay. Like I get that. I get that. Like every now and then it's fun to see a throwback show, like of an artist or whatever. There are people though, because don't get me wrong, they're not making 4 million a show. There's people who go to every single show. Whenever they come, they go to every single show.
Oh, I know. Like, and with New Kids, I hadn't seen them in like I don't know, 10 plus years, I think. So it's just like, okay, like I don't know when they're going to stop touring, if they're going to stop touring. This is like they never come to Vancouver. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go. Let's go to Vegas.
Why do you think they tour so much? Do you think that they have like some out of control spending habits? Because a lot of times, okay, so Mariah Carey, she's always doing these tours every year, but when people analyzed her spending, she spends, I think they said over $50 million a year. She has really out of control spending habits. Do you think that the Backstreet Boys have out of control spending habits? Because what do you think warrants them to do so many shows every year? They never take a break, they're always on tour and they're making a lot of money. What do you think is causing them to have to be on tour so much?
I think it's a mix of everything. Like some of them do have young family members, so they want to be able to provide for their family members. Maybe I'm just biased because, I'm a Backstreet Boys fan. But at the end of the day, like I also think they do love doing what they do, or else they wouldn't do it anymore. Just like NSYNC, they wouldn't do it anymore. They would call it a quits and move on. But I honestly think they love their fans, even though Lord only knows how much they're spending on tickets. They love their fans. They love the music. The music is always with them. Just like Rihanna, we had it on another podcast. We said it on another podcast. She like just threw out those albums like bam, 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 bam. But there's always that spark for that music. And with them, that's what I think it is. They always have that love for music and making their fans happy. And because if let's just say they disbanded, well, Kevin left at one point, but if they disbanded, no longer touring, no longer singing, like this is like kind of like the last of it, right? Like, and that's why I think that a lot of these people, like, you don't know when they're going to be like, we're going to retire. That's it, because they've been in this industry for so long. And they've touched a lot of people's lives in different ways all over the world.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, you don't know when, because look at LFO, right? Like nobody knew that two of the members of the group were gonna pass away. So a lot of people missed the time of seeing them all together. Now there's only one surviving member left. So at the end of the day, if your favorite band from when you were a teenager is they're all still here living and they're all still together, they get along well enough to do a tour. At the end of the day, you probably should buy a ticket, right? Because
Hmm.
I always use LFO as an example. They were one of my favorite groups growing up. I loved LFO. I'd seen them in concert and whatever. And out of nowhere, the lead, I think Devin was his name, passed away. And then another member passed away, both from cancer, by the way, super random. But the idea that there will never be another chance to see them do those songs together. You'll never get that opportunity. So you just never know when it's going to be the last time. Because look at Michael Jackson. He was going to do the This Is It tour, which is literally his farewell to the music industry, and unfortunately passed away before one single show was done. So there were people who thought they were going to experience the last tour of Michael Jackson, and then unfortunately, right before the tour was supposed to take place, he passed away. So now there is no opportunity. So I guess you're right. If your favorite band is still together, they get along well enough to do shows together. Like if Destiny's Child was to reunite, I think that that would break the world. I think the world would go and see them together, right? Like because it's that nostalgia, and they didn't get along well enough to do it for so long. So if they happen to announce it, like if NSYNC they decide they want to do a tour together, you gotta buy a ticket, right? Because this world is so. Cause, oh my God, another one I just realized: One Direction. So if One Direction was ever to reunite, we'll never get a real One Direction show because Liam Payne is no longer with us. So
Exactly.
that
So
nostalgia is always going to be gone. And even if the remaining members did decide to do it, it'll never be the full group. So I guess at the end of the day, the Backstreet Boys all being together, right? Because like you said, there was a time where they were touring without Kevin. All of them being together, all of them being in good health, still here, still able to perform, still able to do shows. They're capitalizing on that. because there's a lot of times and opportunities missed, for other groups and bands where people will never be able to relive that. And a lot of times, all of the members will be alive and well, they just can't stand each other. So they just can't do it. Like Danity Kane, they're never gonna do a show. They can't stand each other. You're never gonna be able to see that again. So if your favorite group is still around and they love each other enough to do it, and you really want to see them, I guess you just have to jump on that opportunity. And Backstreet Boys are making $4 million a show by putting that opportunity out there for people to take, and good for them. It's a lot of money, Gina. That's so much money because they do so many shows a year. So it's insane how much they're pulling in. But at the end of the day, they earn that. All those hits, all those albums, all those fans and all those connections that they built, they earn that.
And don't forget, I don't know if you saw that documentary on Netflix too, or was it Discovery? Um, how at some points when they're really big, like on top of the world big, like in 99 or 97, they weren't making much money because their manager was taking it from them.
Yeah,
Lou Pearlman.
a lot of the 90s kids, we actually found out, especially if they had anything to do with Lou Pearlman, we found out that they weren't making any money. The contracts that they were signing, because these are children, they went from, hey, we want to be in a group to having music all over the world. They signed whatever anyone put in front of them, not understanding any of it. And we learned, especially, oh my gosh, TLC told us their story as well. We learned that they were just signing whatever you put in front of them. And there were people making millions and millions of dollars off of them, and they made nothing.
Exactly.
NSYNC and Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and LFO, Nanny, they all went through this. There was a huge exploitation of these groups in the early to late 90s and 2000s. And actually Taylor Swift actually talked on it a little bit as well, where she didn't have rights to her music, that she signed a contract with, I think, Big Machine, where she didn't own the rights to her music. That just wasn't something that they were willing to give to her. And again, when you sign a 15-year-old child, they don't understand that. They don't know any of
Mhm.
that. And at the end of the day, they don't even know if they're going to be as big a star as you promised. So they're just willing to sign whatever they need to sign to get themselves out there to even have that opportunity. Obviously, Taylor Swift is the 1%, right, of what can happen to people, but she had to go back and she took the advice of another country star. I think Reba McEntire or someone told her, hey, go back and re-record all of this so you own the masters to the re-recordings. And she was able to get the ownership of her new masters of the re-recording of it. But yeah, you're right. A lot of these artists, they started out touring and doing shows and not making any money at all. So it is nice to see some money going back into their pocket, because in the beginning, a lot of these people were struggling. And I remember Tony Braxton told her story, how she was doing shows all over the world. She had number one hits. People were millionaires based off of her career. And she, I think, had $300 or $400 in her bank account, and she had to file for bankruptcy. Right.
Exactly.
And it just shows the exploitation of people in the industry. They take your talent and they use your talent to make a lot of money, and they don't give you any of the money. And
Yeah, they jeopardize on it.
yeah, so it's unfortunate. I think in 2025 there's a lot more people that are aware of that exploitation, and there's lawyers and there's people looking out for people more than there was back in the early 90s, back when people were new to, oh, I just want to be a singer. I just want to sing, and that's kind of how they looked at it. But you have to look at so much more, because you're sacrificing your privacy, your life, your time, your well-being, your health, everything to do this. You can't just say, I just want my songs to be on the radio. I don't care if I make any money or not. You can't look at it that way. You have to
No,
make sure that you're making the right financial decision for yourself and your family and everyone around you. And you have to make sure that you have to surround yourself with the right people. Because I've noticed a lot of people were surrounded by the wrong people. And that's how they ended up in these type of situations. That Lou Pearlman documentary, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch that.
you need to watch it.
That man surrounded himself by the most talented youngsters he could find, and he was taking everything, Gina, everything.
Hmm.
so much. So it's so important that you have the right people around you that they can see and notice when there's people out there trying to take advantage of you. It's so important.
He was a snake.
Not only that, he was a creep too, Gina. He was a
Yep.
total creep. So I don't
Yeah.
want to ruin it
I,
for anyone. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch that. That man, such a creeper, right? But what he did was take advantage of children who weren't aware of what they were getting themselves into, and they made him rich, and he gave them pennies.
hmm
So, oh yeah. So what? Before we end, there was that court case. Remember we talked about it before. So Brian Luttrell is suing the police department somewhere in Florida, right? I can't remember where. Um,
Yeah.
he's suing the courts, and it's still going on. It hasn't been thrown out or dismissed. The court case is still going on. So we're gonna follow that. But I told you, Gina, I don't think it's a good idea because you know the statement. I tried to fight the law, and the law won.
The law one.
So if
hmm
you're trying to fight the law, you have to go to the government and the courts and the government are on the law side. So it's difficult to try and sue like a sheriff's department or a police department or the government itself because in order to have your case heard, you have to go to their courts, right? So it's like you're going up against them when they're all in this together. And at the end of the day, you know, he wants people to be banned from his property when his property is located on a public beach. So I don't know how this is going to end for him. But a lot of people feel like this case is outrageous because they're like, well, yeah, you purchased property on the beach, but you don't own the beach. You know, like the beach is, you know, how there's a sidewalk, right? So, say you buy a house, Gina, and there's a public sidewalk that goes through your property. You can't ever tell people don't walk on that sidewalk, even though you own that property, because at the end of the day, you own the property, but you don't own the sidewalk. And you know there's nothing that you can really do about the public aspect of that property there. You can't tell people not to come on your street because you own a house on that street. And it kind of works the same way with the beach. You know, people are able to walk on the beach no matter, unless it's a private beach. You know, you can purchase a beach and it's a private property where no one's allowed on. You would have to own that entire private property. And he doesn't. And you know, a lot of people are feeling like, I don't like the way this is making him look. You know, a lot of people are like, I don't like that. It's making it seem like he's kind of rude and douchey or whatever. And, you know, he feels like he's right and he's standing behind it and he wants his case to prevail and go through the court system. I just worry that it might make him look a certain way to his fans, right? Because it kind of makes it seem like he doesn't like dealing with normal everyday people. And at the end of the day, that's exactly who his fans are, normal everyday people. So I don't like the way that it's portraying him in this in the public eye.
So basically, I don't know how to read lawyer documents, surprisingly enough. I don't. And the last, because I pulled up the motion or whatnot, it's the last well, besides Exhibit A, so this is current as of the 27th, notice of filing in support of respondents, motion to dismiss petitioner supplemental complement complaint for inverse condemnation and amended petition for writ of mandamus.
Oh, I don't know what any of that means. But I
I
know
don't know what any of that means either.
a motion to dismiss, that means they're trying to dismiss something. I don't know what
Well,
they're
yeah.
trying to dismiss. Motion to dismiss could mean they want to drop the case altogether, dismiss the case altogether. Um, and that when you file a motion to dismiss, it's where you want it to be dismissed before it goes to trial. So I don't know what any of that means, but like I said, he's going against the police department. I don't see how you would win against them unless they, you know, really violated your human rights in some way, which
hmm
I don't feel that they did. You know, they basically said that they don't enforce trespassing or banning people from public property. And they can't. You can't unless they're doing something to break the law. If someone was on the property, public property, and they were doing something illegal, then yes, they could ban that trespass that person from that property. But if they're just walking along a public sidewalk or along a public beach, you can't ban
Or
someone.
or having a picnic or whatever, or walking their dog. You can't put a band on that.
I don't see how the police department would be at fault for not arresting people that are using public property for legal legal activities, right? Like you can walk your dog on a public beach or a park. You can have a picnic on a public beach. You can lay out and tan on a public beach. These are all legal activities, like you're not doing anything to detract from or break the law. So at the end of the day, I don't know if this is going to prevail. And I just worry how it's going to make him look, right? Because and when you're in the public eye, perception is everything. And, how much is he even at the property for it to be such a nuisance? This man is on tour all the time. Like, how much are you even home for this to even bother you?
Well, we've already established that's not his home.
Yeah, this is a vacation property. It's a vacation.
Ugh.
So it's like, is it worth that much? Because say for instance, he's there a month out of the year total. Like, is it worth going through all of this to ban people from using the sidewalk if for 11 months out of the year you're not even there to see it? Like, it just seems a little petty, Gina. It seems a little petty to me for someone who has so much more going on for him to even spend any time on this at all.
It is. I was talking to my girlfriends about it, like who have already gone to the Backstreet Boys. And that's how we met. We met at a Backstreet Boys concert at a meet and greet. And I'm just like, I am not a Brian supporter no more, right? Just because of XYZ situation, because of the whole American Idol situation with his son. And they're like, no, we feel you on that. We completely feel you on that because it's not like that's not, you shouldn't be suing the sheriff's office because people are on a public beach. You shouldn't have your son on American Idol and whatnot because it's just douchey, right? And it spells douchey for me, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I felt the same way when P. Diddy let his son um take a full scholarship to college, because I was like, I understand that his son earned the full scholarship. That I don't disagree with, but I was like, what he should do is let his son accept the full scholarship to college, but then donate another scholarship in his name. Because at the end of the day, if you're a billionaire, scholarships were not created for billionaires' children. And I hate to sound that way, but at the end of the day, there are people who are very talented, very intelligent, who could never afford to go to college, due to their socioeconomic situation, right? Just unfortunate events of how their life is going. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that he's a billionaire, but he let his child accept a full scholarship to college. I was like, well, there's nothing wrong with accepting it because he earned it. But I was like, at the end of the day, he should have also made another donation in the same amount for someone else. So it's not like he's taking that opportunity from another person who could never afford it. And I felt the same way when Brian's son went on American Idol. I was like, well, you're kind of taking that spot away from someone who could never afford to put themselves in that situation. For someone who's making the Backstreet Boys make $4 million a show. If you wanted to launch your son into superstardom, you have the connections and the money to do that. American Idol is for the people who work a regular 9 to 5 job, who don't have any connections, who don't have any money, who don't have Grammy Awards, who haven't toured the world. These are just regular everyday people who happen to be talented. Those people need an outlet, a place where they can be showcased. And I felt like him putting his show or him letting his son go on that show, I just didn't agree. Like you said, I feel like that's not fair because the show was created for specific people in a specific situation. So anytime people who went on the show who had ties to really big name people, I didn't like it. I was like, this isn't for you. Like, if your family member or grandmother, grandfather, uncle, or aunt is someone who has a Grammy or who's done this already, this show's not for you. Those people can help you and get you the connections that you need. So yeah, I think that it's important that you when you become famous, and I know this doesn't sound fair, but when you become famous and you have so much going for you that you are just humble and grateful for what you have and don't take away opportunities from people who might not have the same opportunities that you have. And I think that it becomes more than just you become a brand, and what you do to help others is so important. And when you have hundreds of millions of dollars, but you're only looking out for yourself and you're taking free items from other people and stuff, that says a lot.
Exactly. So it nepotism or whatever they called it, right? So a nepo
Well,
baby. So
yeah, Nepo baby, and it just says a lot about people. Like when you got $1 billion, like when Diddy, he's a billionaire, he had $1 billion, but he was letting his son take a full scholarship to school. And I was like, I get that earning it is one thing. You earned a full scholarship, but at the end of the day, you could afford to pay. So I was like, at least take the scholarship, but then make a donation to that school so they could open up another spot for someone else. So
exactly.
that's what you, because when you're a celebrity and you're a brand and you're a billionaire, that's what you're expected to do. Right? Like you can't just, you have to help. And I know it's unfortunate that it feels that way, that we expect them to do things for others. But when you become that big of a star, you're an African American celebrity, you have to show the less fortunate that I'm here to help you. I'm just not here to do whatever I can to get everything out of the industry and just be richer and richer. You should make an example of what should be done when someone is in that situation.
Exactly. Oh, another show. Did you end up watching that one? Um, he was on Empire, that show Empire. Did you ever watch it?
Yes, I watched Empire. I did. I did.
Have you seen the new documentary series with Jussie Smollett on Netflix yet?
I didn't know about it. He's the one that got in trouble for faking a
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know
that's
he did it. Is he a part of it?
well, they didn't really want to point fingers, but it is an interesting documentary, so I would watch
Well,
it.
I would definitely watch it. I didn't know about it. I followed that story. I actually watched Empire, and there was another show called Star. I
Yeah, I liked Star, and I was so mad how it ended because I got no closure from it.
Well, yeah, we don't know who actually died at the end. But yeah, I watched Empire from start to finish, and also Star as well. I think the same executive producer or director was
Yeah,
both of those shows or whatever, and I love both of them. But yeah, I will be watching that documentary, so maybe on the next episode we can discuss that, because yeah, he got into a lot of trouble for staging a hate crime robbery or something along the lines of that. Something I can't remember exactly, but
yeah,
I'll definitely look into that, because and that kind of ruined his career. I don't think he's really done anything since.
I
Actually,
don't think so either.
so yeah, I
And
would hear his side of the story.
there's actually another documentary too called Unknown Number, the high school catfish. You have to watch that too.
Yeah, you were telling me. Yeah, I'll add that to my list. So we can discuss that as well. I'm huge on these documentaries and revisit.
Oh, I love documentary series. Like, oh, there's a new one. Okay, watch, 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 right? Especially if it's like, yeah, but with the unknown number, you'd be like at the end, I want to when you watch it, let me know what your final thoughts are at the end and in the middle, yeah, who you think is the culprit, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. All right, guys. So that's it. That's an end for this episode of the George Mossey Show, the pop culture podcast. I think this is episode 5. We're on episode 5. So we'll be back soon with new topics, new pop culture topics, and things to talk about, whatever's going on crazy in the news that we just have to discuss. Make sure you're following Gina and I. And if you have topic suggestions, make sure you're commenting and letting us know what you want to hear us talk about as well.
Yeah, because we love to hear what everyone else has to say
Yeah, we
as
want
well.
your opinions. So make sure you're commenting as well and following us and reaching out. We do answer your DMs as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to Gina for joining, and we'll talk to everybody really soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.